So guys, very good morning, good evening, depend from where you guys link right now. So let's continue, guys. Till last few classes, I think around three classes, we had done multiple core uh, concepts about Python, right? When I say core, it doesn't mean basics, right? Or it also doesn't mean advanced. It is about the internal concept of Python, and based on those internal concept, right? And plus to know the right concept, lots of things we can, lot of area we can use to solve multiple things, right? So I think last three classes, guys, you have practiced, right? Because there's a biggest core foundation for the future topic. Okay, but again, today as a new topic, right? If you know a little bit about Python, if let's say if you know a little bit about functions in Python, so understanding of the today's topic won't be big deal, right? So very important topic, right? The Because this topic is we use heavily in programming domain. Okay, so it is not only for Python. If you go for any other programming language also, like Scala, like Java, like C++, right? So this is the uh, topic or the concept, right, to organizing your data and the functions, right, we use very heavily. Okay, the topic name is object oriented programming, right, where we have a classes, we have objects, we have a concept called inheritance, we have a concept called encapsulation, and some more concept gonna come up, right? So today class I would like to start the things on object oriented programming, this called ops, right, from very basic, in a way that if you guys are new in object oriented programming, so there will be no SS prerequisite, you can understand this concept very well. Plus I also seen, even though you are expertise in programming, right, understanding and using the right place object oriented programming is also one big challenge. Okay, a lot of guys have no idea that, and sometimes they confuse, right, should we use object oriented programming or not. Okay, or maybe you're learning some other programming language. I've seen a lot of students has a challenge in understanding this topic. It looked like very advanced, it looked like very complex topic. But according to me and my personal uh, you know point is, nothing is complex, right? If you know the right concept of respective things, and if you know the right use case where we should apply and how we should apply, then any of the concepts and the tools and technology would be so much simple. Okay, I've worked in almost all the technological area in the world, you guys might know. So I'm just because I've seen all those things, I that is my complete summary and conclusion. Nothing is at all complex. So today's class I make these topics so simple, very logical, and the most important thing is you will get the idea, okay, how to use, and the most important thing is where to use, the use case of this particular topic. It's not like this, that you have to use this topic everywhere. Even though till date we have done lots of things in the Python, lots of small examples, advanced example we have created, we haven't used object oriented programming as such. So it is not like this, that it is compulsory to use object oriented programming always. But if you know the concept, then you can decide in a plan and say, hey, this is the place where we should apply object oriented programming. Okay. So let me start from very basics, right, about the object oriented programming. To explain you this concept, I am going to give you one story. Okay. That story, or I can say an analogy, will help you sorry, to understand this topic very clearly, right? So guys, please go through this story, very important, because while and explaining you this story, I will give you multiple vocabulary. I will give you what is classes, what is template, what is blueprint, what is object, what is attributes, what is inheritance, what is different type of inheritance, everything. By this story I explain to you after knowing these concepts. Okay, after knowing this concept, then it will be your choice in which language you want to apply. Obviously, in our training, we are going to apply with the help of Python. Okay, so let me explain you this story. For example, let's say I belongs to a company called Linux World. I'm using LW here, Linux World, and let's say in this company we have one area, I can say the reception area. Okay, and let's say there's a reception area for Linux World, and we have some receptionist sitting over here, or maybe some of my admin team or backend office team sitting over here. Okay, let me give a name. And my company, one of the guy who worked mostly here is called Ajay, is the name of the person, right? And what we do here, and what we ask to the Ajay, who the management team of my company, right? So the core management team of my company asked to my receptionist, or let's say the Ajay, right, and say that in our company, in our office premises, lots of guys is visiting, right? Because we as a Linux World, one of the area we are working on training, so we provide a training in multiple tools and the technologies. One of the area is a consulting. We provide a consulting to multiple different corporates world, and some more, let's say, area. Okay, and plus we also recruit, right, the candidates in our own company. So multiple areas or multiple domains we have in the company, right? Let's focus about the training we are providing. Let's say the training, right? Now what my management team, okay, let's say I'm putting my name here, let's say Vimal, right, belongs to this team. What I asked to the Ajay, that a lot of guys is keep on visiting office. What you have to do, you have to take the details. So let's say somebody from outside world, let's say the name may be Eric. This guy visit to the office. So first thing what my admin or Ajay do, he give one pen and paper to this guy, right? Pen and paper to this guy, and say ask him to fill the details about him, right? Now it is up to the Eric, what detail he would like to fill. Okay, because here we have a one small challenge. We ask Ajay to get the details, but we haven't specified which all detail I want to take from the Eric or the visitors. So let's say these are the visitors we have. Okay, so in this context, maybe it is up to the Eric which all information this guy want to fill here. Maybe this guy might fill name, my name is Eric. Maybe this guy fill mobile number 12111. Maybe this guy fill a remark that why I come here to inquiry for some courses, let's say for AI, artificial intelligence courses. Okay, after Eric fill this information in this page, this is a hard copy page. This page will be handed over to the Ajay, right? And now it is the duty of the Ajay where he want to store this information. Okay, so maybe Ajay have this entire desk. So in this desk, maybe this, let's say, let me give a form number A. So he might put the form number A somewhere over here, somewhere on inside this desk, I can say. Okay, now next time, guys, again, this story is very important. In 5-10 minutes you will have an entire clarity about object-oriented programming, plus the right use case and all the vocabulary, right? Let's say one more visitor visit in our company, maybe the name you call Jack. Okay, same thing, if you visit, contact to my team, let's say Ajay here, and say I also want to have inquiry. So Ajay again handed over the pen and paper to this guy, and now it is up to the Jack what information they want to fill. Maybe this time he fill name equals to Jack. He might to fill phone number equals to 1234. He might fill email address, maybe jack@gmail.com. And hand over this paper to Ajay, and Ajay will fill and let's say this is the form number B. Ajay might put the phone number B somewhere here. Okay, let me take one more example, right? Again, one more guy come up, let's say maybe Tom, and this time again same thing. Ajay hand over paper. Maybe that point in time, Ajay might don't have the that size of big paper. Let's say this is A4 size, but he might have some small cuttings of the papers with him, right? And hard copy, small size papers, right? And Ajay has given this paper to the this one Tom, and Tom fill this info because the paper size is very small, so Tom might only have to fill only the name, but Tom also want fill some more information, right? So again he asked Ajay, can you give me some more papers of this size, right? So Ajay handed over multiple paper or independent papers, right, or hard copy handed papers, and where he fill, let's say, the mobile number 33333, maybe remarks, then maybe say hello, I just come here to say hello, or anything. But all these independent papers, okay, contain the Tom information, and these paper they again handed over to Ajay, and because they are the Indian paper, so there is a possibility. Let me give that paper name C, D, and E. So C may be put over here, D may be put over here, and E may be put over here in this area. Okay, but all this paper belongs to Tom only, but it has been placed here and there randomly because they are the different random pages. So possibility would be it would be placed here and there. Okay, now in this entire story there's lots of issue I want to point out. Okay, well, let me first explain you the issue about in this points. Okay, in this entire example, okay, treat this table or the reception table is your memory, means RAM, mean memory. Okay, treat this as your Python interpreter. Okay, that my visitors are keep on connecting to the Python interpreter and asked to do something and asking something. Okay, so Eric is a visitor means let's say these are the, in our context, these are the different users. Okay, user means, so normally in the Python what we do, or any programming language what we do, let's say with the help of Python we create one programming file, right? And with the help of this programming file we write our instructions, let's say for loop or print and something like these functions, and I ask Python interpreter to run this code. Okay, who asked? Either you as a developer asked to run this code, okay, but after you as a developer asked to run this code, right? So mostly when you run the program file, this program file is being normally interacted by a customer or the users. And why they have been instructed or interacted by the users? Okay, maybe my program file is like a chat program, or program file is like a Facebook app or Insta app, so my user customer will interact and they feed their data, or maybe initially they will feed their details, the name, username, email ID, and something like this. So user is the one where my program file is asking for as input, that giving the input is mostly known as prompt. They prompt for the details and my user will feed. Okay, so think in this way. So in this context these are the users. In our example, my users are the visitors. So Eric is a user, Jack is an Instagram user, Tom is an Instagram user, and my Ajay is the one who is handling a Python Instagram program, or Python with the help of Python Facebook program, or maybe some of our other program. So think Ajay is the one who is a Python who run the program file that will do something. One of the things they do is take the input from the users or the visitors in this example and ask them the detail. Now in this example, okay, when Tom come, okay, Tom is user, and when Tom come, even though let me also keep on writing the code also. with the document Python training. Let me launch the Jupyter. So in this context, when Tom come as a user, and this guy might give the detailed name equals to Tom. So name is what are variables, and you guys know in the Python variable is called reference only, and Tom is a value. So Tom can give these variables and the values. It will be something like this. So let me get one code. So when the Tom come, so Tom can give the value. Let's say my name is Tom, my phone number is 13333. My email ID would be t@g.com, gmail.com, something like that. So Tom is giving the information, and every information they're giving this cell, or this you can think like one small loose paper the way I explained to you. They gave this loose paper and fill the information. And you guys know, whenever you create any variable to feed the data, okay, finally this data variable and the data organized in your RAM here in this desk, and they organize always randomly in different places. It is not in our control. Okay, it is not in the control of the visitor. It has been controlled by Python where to provide. And guys, in my last I told you there's a one internal part of the program of Python is called memory managers. So we have some memory managers, or Python memory manager. It's called PMM, Python memory manager. They are the one who deal with the memory and say, I will organize this data somewhere here, maybe here. Depend upon a lot of reasons there behind the scene, but they will organize data mostly because we provide date variable independently. So you guys know this function called ID. If I ask ID what is the memory of this, or let me even though print in hexadecimal code. Okay guys, this code I explained in my last class already. So the the space where the name is stored is this one, okay, and the place where the phone number is stored in the memory, or according to my example in the reception desk, is this one. Very different memories here, very different, or with different part of it, okay, and the place where the email is stored is very different. Even though in our case we as a developer know that this code is being created by us, so we as a developer know that these are the information belongs to same user or same visitor, but internally they organized this information randomly here and there. Okay, there's a by default behavior of any programming language. Okay, it means the developer who create this code, or I can say before the code created, we have to plan the code, design the code, what you want to do. So anybody who plan this code or manage this code, right, doesn't plan properly, because this information is belong to same candidate or same visitors. There's no good reason to store data here and there. Why? Because in the future, if you want to retrieve the information of Tom, okay, name would be picked from somewhere else, email can be picked from somewhere else. Right now it's looking very fast, is picking up, but think guys, if you have a huge data, Tom is just one name, like this billions of information you're gonna have, and in this case you want to retrieve the Tom information or Eric information, Sarah information, right? My Python memory managers, all right, have to go here, then jump here, then jump here. There's a huge RAM. Let's say this will be a big desk of 1 kilometer in our system. This is a big RAM of 2 terabyte, just for example. Then picking the information for here and there for one visitor, because mostly why we asking this information to be stored, because in the future my management team, let's say my management team will ask, I want to know about Tom. I would place, can you give me the name of the Tom, or email of the Tom, or the phone number of the Tom, whatever these guys, or remark of the Tom. Okay, so I can use this information for further planning, marketing, creating further strategy for sales, or whatever the case will be. Okay, so if your data has been organized here and there on the RAM, you can retrieve it, but more and more data you have, retrieving here and there or managing it here and there would be big challenge. Okay, it will slow down, sometimes it won't be organized right well, and without organized and management, thing won't work the way we want. So the one who plan, okay, plan how are going to organize a data. Finally, this is the game of data only, right? How we're going to organize the data is not well planned by right now about the management, because whatever you plan, you ask your plan to be implemented, and any plan if you want to implement is by the writing the code. So my developer will write the code accordingly. In this case, the developer may be the again belongs to management team who execute and ask Ajay what to do. Okay, so right now this is what the plan we have created, but it's not look like well, right? Even though we have one information, but it is not properly well organized. now maybe my management now decide that if you store the information in this way, so very harder. Even though there's a possibility, let me take one more example. There's a one possibility that I want to store the information about Rahul, for example. Okay, same thing in the future. We give the information to Rahul and say put your name. Okay, can you put your mobile number? So like here, Rahul instead of type mob, this guy might use the variable called phone. Okay, so typically Tom is also giving the mobile number, Rahul is also giving the mobile number. Maybe let's say we ask our admin Ajay and say anybody come up, so ask them, they have to fill the mobile number or the contact details. So because we asked from the visitor, so they fill the details, but while filling the details, okay, filling the details, Rahul might use a different variable name, Tom might use a different variable name. Finally, information come to us. So it's something like this. Okay, when Tom come or somebody come, they will fill the mobile number with the mob variable. So one mobile number is stored in the phone variable, one mobile number is stored in the mob variable. Okay, so data will be stored, but because my data is being stored in different variable name, right? So guys, in the programming world or in the planning world, right, if you are storing same data or similar data, right, if you give a different variable name, okay, different variable name, then it will be harder to automate the thing, because sometimes mostly in the code, guys, it's very common that I want to do something again and again. And for doing something again and again, either you can use a function and ask the function, I am just giving this lines of code, do this for me. Or maybe I can use my iteration, means for loop and the while loop, and say this is a code I'm giving to you. Okay, run this code 10 times or 100 times. Okay, but anything you want to repeat again and again by this or by functions, okay, so this will be possible, or writing this repeatable code possible if you write a standard code. Means in this code, let's say you want to retrieve the phone number, so we can just print, and wherever the phone number if we have, just go and print it. Okay, but in this case, this phone number can be printed because this variable is matching this. But in this case, this phone number won't be printed or won't be used because variable may be different. Okay, so in this case, right, if storing the phone number is one singular and simple type of data, right, if we use a different variable name, writing a standard code, generalized code is almost impossible. Okay, how can I say take the phone number of this guy plus take the phone of mobile guys? For this, we have to write one more print statement of mob. Okay, and maybe you can write conditions. Technically it look like, right, it look like very hard in terms of writing the standard code or organize data and try to get all the phone numbers. Okay, even though I can't use list here. Okay, list can't be used, right? If you have in mind that it can be used list to store the phone number and store all the phone number 3333444 in the list. No, right? Because we are not only storing the phone number. Okay, we have to store the remarks also, name also, and these guys coming independently. And my point is, I want to organize data in something like this in one single paper. So in the future, my management team, again, it's all depend upon your requirement also. So if your requirement of the management team, right, if they say no, I want to retrieve all the mobile number, so when the data come, pick only the mobile number and store in a list. In this case, using a list can be useful. Okay, but no, their requirement is, if you understand the requirement here is, management say, okay, I have a requirement in the future, I want to retrieve only Tom information, I only want to retrieve only Jack information, this is my requirement. Maybe this is my internal employees, this is my product's name, I want to know about the detail of the product, this may be my customer name, I want to know about my customer and the client, right? So it would be anything. It would be detail about one particular car model, right? I want to see everything about that particular car or vehicle. Okay, so in this case, I want to organize the data in one single page, in one single area. Okay, so that I click here and entire data will become in front of me, so I can use for the way I want to use. Okay, so if you organize the data in this way, the variables way, the way we normally store, okay, 2 or 3 challenges you will face. One, your data will be stored randomly here and there, so retrieving the data from the memory will take some time, so it will hit the performance. So performance is the big challenge. The till day we have stored our data or manage the data, performance is one challenge you will face. Okay, second thing is in this case, right now guys, it look like simple, but let's say this is the details of Eric we store or Tom we store, for example. Now if you want to store the information of Eric, how can you store? If you use the name variable of Eric, what happened? Okay, this variable will overwrite. Now you have only one information available for the Eric, this will overwrite. So at one point in time, right, the name variable can be used once. So it means what we have to do, I don't want to do this, so it means every time when any new information come up, I say Tom name is a variable name, so that all the information can be managed. Tom phone number is this one, Tom email is this one. You have to add some extra tag that will uniquely identify this variable. So Eric information you can store in this way, Eric. So now if you want to retrieve the Eric, you can use in this way. If you want to retrieve the Tom, you can retrieve in this way. But again, now in this case, all the information can be stored in the RAM. First of all, they are storing here and there randomly. Second challenge you will face here is, because randomly means they will impact the performance, plus also impacting the management part of my internal memory manager. That's a big issue. Second big challenge you will face is, because now all the variable name is different. Okay, now if you want to retrieve mobile number of everyone, maybe I have a requirement, I want to retrieve all the mobile number. For this I can create a for loop. But how can I create a for loop? Because for loop will apply on the variables, and because here the variable name is different, how can we run the for loop or functions as a standardized and generalized code? Okay, that is also the process, because we have to think in this way. We have to solve some problems, we have to write the steps for this, and mostly the step will repeatable functions we will use. Okay, and same thing gonna repeat again and again. So we always want to write a generalized code, means in such a way if I write phone number and looking for something, want to print phone number, so this variable should be generalized, standardized, means everybody has to use this variable, so that creating some automated loop would be possible. But here everybody is doing different, so it's very harder to write further codes. Okay, this is also one challenge. So point here is, okay, here I am guys talking just about the managing your data, organizing your data in the RAM. But before we organizing the data or managing data, we have to plan it properly. Okay, plan means, again we have one challenge here. Okay, maybe my management team is not properly updated to Ajay and say get the details. So it is up to the visitors what information they want to feed. Let's say these guys say feed remarks, this guys feed email, this guy feed some R. Okay, so this information we collect about the customer, and this information the future management team will use. Why they use? They want to do some marketing, they want to understand the customer, they want to understand the issue of the customers, right? Get a feedbacks. So because everybody feed randomly, only let's say Eric is the one who gives the feedback. Let's say we have some issue with AI, or we want to do AI. Nobody has to do. So this information is not at all useful for the management team. How are they going to use this? Why Jack visited for the job, or Tom visited for consulting work? No idea, right? We only maybe Eric feed this information, because everybody will think that point in time, and everybody has different thinking. Depend on that thinking, they feed the information. So we have to organize the data in a one single area of everyone. Okay, but at the same time, it is not about only organizing the data at one area. Why I want to organize it in one single sheet? So that, like, this is the example A, this is this it. So in the future, if my management team asks, can you give me the detail of the Eric? So Ajay will go to this area and get the one single file, and this file is the one who gives the entire detail of the Eric. So here this organization look better. Why? Because in one sheet we are storing the entire information, rather than we pick this multiple sheet, means we pick this multiple variables, something like this. So it look like organization part is better if you take one single sheet. But we have one challenge here is, okay, everybody has their own set of mind. Everybody can feed their own information in this sheet. So for this we have to create a plan. Who? My management team. Why my management team? Right? Because they know what is used, what kind of uses they have in the future, what they want to do with this data. Okay, does they want to do marketing? So they want to do bulk email marketing, so they have to get the emails. Okay, does they want to know about the feedback? So they ask the feedback properly. Does they want to send the WhatsApp messages on all the mobile number? So they have to collect the WhatsApp phone number rather than only the phone number or mobile number. Okay, so they have planned what is the further use, what kind of future operations they want to do in this data. And guys, normally in the programming world, if you want to do any operation, mostly we use the functions. So what function they want to implement on this data? Okay, so they have full plan on this, and according to this plan, my management is took together, my Vimal or some more teams together, and what we do, we create one plan in one single file. Okay, and according to plan, we let's say this is one soft copy of Microsoft document we open. Okay, in this document file we type, now anybody come up, we always take the name. Okay, anybody come up, we always take the phone number. Anybody come up, we always take the remarks, for example. Okay, so this kind of one document they create. Okay, right now this document, after this box is empty. It is like they create this kind of form, I can say one form they create. Okay, but this form is created by having some thinking, what they want to do, what kind of data they want to collect. But after the plan, they create this form. I want to collect name, phone, and remark. Obviously this box will be empty because I'm using the form here, so box is empty. Why is empty? Because obviously this is the planning they are doing. Okay, this box will be filled by my final visitors whenever whoever come in the future. Okay, now after having this plan, okay, this form, my management team will provide this form to the Ajay. Now guys, here very interesting thing gonna come up, right? Will give to the Ajay. Okay, and we ask, or my management team asked the Ajay, my backend office team, and say, now anybody who come and visit the office, okay, you have to get the details, but this is now the fixed detail. This is what you have to collect. Okay, you have to only collect the three information, and with this name only, or this phone number only, or this variable name only. The variable is only phone, is not the mobile. Is remarks, not remark, or R is small. Okay, so we have created one single standardized document, no document, the plan. Okay, and guys, when you create any standard plan, all right, that you don't know the answer but you plan it, so mostly it is also known as template. So we create one template, okay, and everybody has to fill the same template or same form, and this template is also sometimes known as blueprint. But in the programming world, okay, this template, whatever you planned in the programming world, is known as class. And that is the meaning, guys, of the class. So we have created one class, or known as blueprint, or the template. This file or document is known as class, or I can say this form is known as class. Okay, in the programming world, object-oriented programming, this is known as class concept. Okay, we provide this class to our Python. Python means in our programming file, we put the class here, this document here, and now whenever any visitor visit in the future, they obviously contact to Ajay, means the program file of Python, right? And they say, I want to feed the details. Okay, so now based on this document, okay, they give what they do. My Ajay will have this document in their laptop. This is like a soft copy document. Let's say we have the printer over here, and from this soft copy they print a hard copy. Okay, and hard copy, and provide this hard copy to the Eric. So what they give? They give the hard copy of the one page. Okay, hard copy. From this, let's say this is the soft copy we have in the document. That is by chance here the plan. Plan is called class and blueprint of the template. Okay, now Eric will use this form. So guys, obviously when we print this form in the hard copy, exactly same page is gonna print. Okay, and this page is be given Eric, and now Eric have not to use their mind. Okay, what they do, they have the name printed, they have this this phone and remark printed. So this hard copy they have. So now Eric has to feed these details. So Eric know they have to feed their name. Eric know they have to feed their mobile number. This details belongs to Eric, so they know what they feed. Let's say their remark is okay, and after they feed this information, now this information is given to my Python or my Ajay, and obviously they pick these details and store somewhere. Let's say this is the name called P. This document name is called P, so they store P in one place. Because this single document, there is no meaning to cut the document. It means entire document stored in one place in the RAM. But in this, guys, a complete example, all right, this paper is a unique paper in the world. For Jack, we will have a different paper. So and Jack come up from the same soft copy or from the same class and same template, we will print one more copy or hard copy. But this hard copy print from this soft copy, same look and feel gonna come up, but this paper is different. Let's say this paper name is P. Okay, or maybe let's say let me give the paper name. Let's say this paper has given a number. Let's say this number is called 111. But this time this paper, what is given to the Jack, having the number, let's say 222. But all the details will be same. Means variable names will be same, but Jack will have to fit their details. And this page number, let's me give the name called also Q. So this page number Q or page number 222 again handed over to Ajay, and Ajay has to store this Q somewhere here. Again single page they store here. Okay, so in the single area, everything about the Jack has been stored. In this entire process, okay, this hard copy page, so we have 100 visitor come up, so 100 hard copy page we will create, or 100 information will be stored here. So one information is stored here, one information may be stored here, but doesn't matter. This area on the RAM has the detailed information of a single customer called Eric. This area of RAM, one single area or one single box contain the detailed information, all the information about the Jack. So in this complete context, guys, this page is known as object. So according to my example, the soft copy, according to my example, with the plan or soft copy, we have to plan once, we have to create only one single soft copy, are known as class in the programming world. And then from this class, when you print, it becomes a hard copy and it's become the object. Okay, so from one soft copy, how many you can print? Hundreds and millions and trillions. More and more user come up, visual come up, we can keep on printing, object 1, object 2, object 3, keep on printing from one single class. Okay, and one more thing, guys, from the soft copy, when you get the hard copy, or from the class when you get the object, this process is known as instantiation. So we instantiate or instantiation the process. Okay, and one more thing, guys, object is also known as instance. So either you can use the word object or the instance is the same thing, but mostly we use the word object only. So we can say this is the one instance we have given to the Eric, this is one different page or instance given to the Jack, but this process is known as instantiation. So from this class we will instantiate and create the object. Okay, so guys, and that is a reason if you organizing data, okay, in a object, means in the hard copy, and this hard copy is based on a plan that's called class. This way of organizing the data, okay, how we are organizing, we are not organizing anything randomly here and there, random RAM area, given any variable name. All right, so in the future creating a code or automation code or doing same thing again and again, those planning won't be possible technically and practically also. So this way of organizing the data make the thing so simple. Now because now everybody store the phone number with the phone, because this name we have to make it fixed. So writing any function in the future and say I want to run a while loop, for loop, and I want to print the phone number. Okay, so we can give the list of these pages and say go to this page number 111, pick the phone. Go to next page number 222, pick the phone. Okay, so because every variable name is same, okay, then creating any standardized code would be possible. Otherwise, without this, it is impossible. Like if you give any retrieve the information very random variable name, okay, so it won't be possible. That is the reason, guys, giving the very standardized variable name is very, very important, right? Now in this case, these variables name, whatever company's plan, mathematical plan that you want to retrieve about that users, are known as attributes. Maybe there might be reason why they are to saying attribute, because sometimes attribute means something about Jack. Maybe you want to collect the gender, their height, the weight, depend upon requirement what data you want to collect about which profession they are in, what is the degree, what they have. Okay, so depend upon your requirement of management, that those information they can collect, and those information, any information about anybody, are normally known as attribute. So typically here, these variables what you're collecting, right, and whoever you plan, are known as attributes. Okay, sometime also known as property. So either you can use the word attribute or the property is almost the same. Okay, sometimes I use property, sometimes I use attribute. Okay, depend upon where I'm using it. Somewhere in some place I'm using same thing known as attribute, some place I'm using same thing known as property. When and how, I explain in a minute. Okay, so this is one idea, and that is a reason because we are organizing the data, okay, in hard copy is called object, and that is the reason this is known as object, right? My object, in my programming world, the main guy is why we doing a programming, right? Because with the help of program, we will collect the data and ask my Python or other programming language to do and operate on the data. So the way you are collecting the data and on this you operate some data is with the help of objects. So that is the reason it is known as object oriented programming. A program will be oriented by the object, that are known as oops. Oops means is just s is not there actually, but normally in the way we speak is called oops s, but it is OOP, object oriented programming or programming. Okay, in this programming we have a this vocabulary, classes, object, instance, instantiation, attribute, property, all the terms we have. Now guys, I think by looking at this example you get the idea. Now the challenge what did we have? Okay, now everybody fill the information, okay, in the standardized way. So variable name is same. Now one particular information, let's say Jack, will be stored in one single area of the RAM. Okay, so let me draw this diagram very much one more time very quickly. So let's say this is your RAM, real physical RAM. So let's say Tom come up. So finally Tom will store the information, and finally this information of Tom will be stored in one single area of the RAM. So this here I will store the information of the Tom and say name of the Tom is Tom, let's say not top, Tom. Okay, phone number of the Tom, let's say is 111. Let's say mobile of the Tom, same thing, right? Obviously. So remark of the Tom is, let's say, okay. So this entire part I will store in our memory somewhere. But wherever I store this part technically known as object here. Whenever I store this part in the memory, obviously that part has some memory address. So let's say this memory address may be 1, 2, 3, 4. But where this memory address is, this object will know. So this object will know where the memory address is. So it means whenever we create this box, we will create a one variable. And this variable data type is object. Okay, like we have string, we have dictionary, we have list. So they have the data type called object, and what object contain? They contain the memory address, and this memory will take us to this area, and in one area everything will be stored. Okay. Now let's say one more user come up, maybe Eric. So same thing, we will my Python memory manager will give some space somewhere, maybe randomly, but when they give the space, wherever the space located, so they will maintain the memory address, let's say 22222. Okay, memory address, and this memory address is stored in a variable, and this variable actually known as object. Okay, or against object is a variable. Now in this area, what to store? Again same standard format, because both the objects come from the same class. So again they will give you a capability to store the name, to store the phone number, to store the remarks. Same. Let's say this is the belongs to Eric. So Eric name come up, Eric mobile number come up, remark, let's say good, come up, store here. But interesting thing is, initially guys, this variable name, phone, remarks store randomly in my desk, right? Or here also we see they store randomly different places. Now everybody is stored in one single area. Okay. And second thing guys, in my last example, right, if I the way I explained this example, if I store the Tom name and same variable, if I try to store the Eric name, and why I want to use the same variable name, because I want to make my code standardized. But in this case your variable name will be alright, last will come up. But in this example, okay, everybody is storing the information same variable name. See here, this variable name is also same, and this variable name also same. Okay, there's different information, but they won't overwrite. Why? Because this variable name now is the part inside this box. Okay, and this box has some different this memory address. Okay, technically what happened when you create a variable in this way? So if you try to understand, if you create a variable in this way, okay, so your variable will be, let's say, this entire RAM. Okay, and this is the entire RAM your process is going on. Let's say this entire space is given to this process. Process means your program. When you run the program, it becomes process. Okay, and in this case, Okay, if you create a variable directly like this, okay, so variable will create somewhere here directly with some value. Let's say value is a Tom. Who created this variable? Your Python memory manager. Oh, every language has their own memory manager they will create. Okay, but when you create one more time, name it like Eric. So in this case, guys, always your memory manager, before they create any new variable, they will go and check this entire area of a process. Let's say this entire area belong to your process. They check, does any variable name with the name available? If yes, then in this case they will overwrite and store Eric. Okay, or maybe in this case they might be also delete this and they will create somewhere else name equals to Eric. But they will only make sure only one variable name should exist. Why? Obviously, if you have two name in the future, if you want to retrieve and print somebody, which one to retrieve? So it is but logical. So to manage this, they only pick one. So this is by default behavior of any programming language. But if you give your variable name, that is also known as property name, or also known as attribute name, there is a better term. Okay, inside this box. Now according to memory manager, because this now variable is inside this box is not an object. Same variable name inside this box, this is called object. So they say because this is a different box, this is a different box, it's not visible, right, everyone, right? So in this box, right, in this box, whatever name you want to give, you can give. In this box, whatever name you want to give, you can give. Same name you can also give. Because in the future, if I want to retrieve the name, so I want retrieve in this way, let's say print name. Okay, I want to retrieve your name of Tom in this way. How I'll retrieve? I will say there's one address called 1234. In this address, the variable name I want to retrieve. Means I want to retrieve the Tom as a value. This is how I am going to retrieve. But I want to retrieve this name, or I want to use this name somewhere. So I say whatever the box having this at this address dot and their variable name or attribute name I want to retrieve. So in this case, because now on the future, right? Because we want to retrieve the variable name not directly, we will retrieve by this syntax. Okay, so while looking at this syntax, this name and this name is obviously different. Intake the variable name only, but the way we are going to use in the future is always using this syntax where we will give a memory address of my object, memory of the object. So an object memory address always will be different, always different. So this name won't be, conflict with this name. So things will be manageable. Okay. So point, guys, here is the problems whatever I was discussing about, right? Here the entire information of the Tom we are storing one single area. So I'll say whatever information you have in this area, show me all. Just one click, entire information come up. And because they are stored everywhere in the same area, right? If you have billions of information, so just one click, entire information will retrieve very quickly because they are here and there nearby. Okay. Second thing is, okay, now we have the standardized variable names. Okay. So while writing the further code of functions and for loop where you want to do something on all the phones, all the remarks, right? Then writing those kind of code would be very, very simple. And doing some operation on those would be very simple. We can do those operations very quickly. And guys, one more thing, any operation that you do on the data that your management will plan, and according they have to retrieve the data. Okay, so technically they have to do in this way what they want to do with the what operation they want to perform. Does they want to do WhatsApp messages? So that is the operation they want to perform. Accordingly, they have to collect the WhatsApp numbers from the customers. And how the collect from the customer? By the object. By how the object created? By from the class. But after data collected, they will perform some operations. Okay, based on those data. Or technically I can say operation first they have to the plan, according they have to create the operations. Okay, so these operations sending the WhatsApp, sending the emails, doing something else, is we will write, or management team will write, or my management will tell what we're looking for, but my developer or the programmer, they will write the functions. And in this area, the function is known as method. We can use the word function, but in this area, what operation you want to do on this data are normally known as, it's exactly look like function only, but typically as terminology perspective, they are known as method. Okay, so I can say we have collected the WhatsApp number, so we have one method. Okay, so I will collect all the WhatsApp number, I will send WhatsApp messages. This is one method we have. Okay, method would be sending WhatsApp messages. Or we have a lot of data we have collected, I will arrange my data in the sorting order. So we have one method for arrange the data in the sorting order. Or if we have a lot of data collected, we have some function, we have a method, we will search the name. Okay, so search by name is one method where we search the name Jack only on Eric only, so that we can retrieve only the email of the Jack or mobile number of Jack. So we have method for, or function for search by name, search by email, something like this. Okay, but it means, guys, writing the code of class and object is so simple in Python, or most probably in all the languages, but I'm not taking in this way. Otherwise, till now my entire topic of object-oriented programming has been completed. I'm especially explaining this concept in this way because this is what the big issue or big mistake everybody do while learning also and while implementing also. You have to first plan what functionality you want to perform, what you want. That will give you what data you have to collect, and that will give you, okay, how you're going to create this blueprint or the class. Okay, so that is it. After having the class, then feeding this data on the class, right, won't be big deal, but you have to start in this way. Okay, so I think, guys, you got the idea. Now after this, lots of concepts we have, again, encapsulation, abstractions, inheritance especially. So what are those? I will explain in some minute, but let's do till here. Let's create a class, okay, based on the plan, and then we feed our data. Okay, so now, guys, I'm moving to Python to demonstrate this practical. So let's say, according to my management, we have plan, and that plan is given to us. Let's say we are the developer of the Python, and the plan would be they want to collect the name of the visitors or the customer, they want to collect the phone number of the customer, and they want to collect the, let's say, again same thing, remarks of the customer. Okay, so this plan has been given by my management team to us. Okay, and according to this plan, we have to create one template, one soft copy, that's called blueprint or known as class. Okay, and typically in the real world, we normally use the word called form. So we have to create a soft copy form, and every form, guys, we have given the name. So let's say this soft copy form known as visitors. Okay, visitor. Okay, so but form is the normal typical name we use in the real world, but in programming world, this kind of concept is known as class. So we are going to create a visitor class. How? Let me start from here. So if you want to do so, let me create a new code. So let me one new code. So okay, this concept you can apply in any of the programming language. This is basic core concepts. Okay, so I'm going to create a class. So the guys, we have a keyword called class, and every class you have to give a name. In my case, I'm going to give a name called visitors, any name you want to give. Then this block of code start colon. Inside this class, I would like to give a name as a variable name. Okay, I want to give phone as a variable name and remarks as a variable name. Something like this we have to do. Okay, now when I run this, there is an error. They say name is not defined and something is not defined. Why this error come up? Let's say obviously this is not a logical, but let's say when you create a class or create a form or create a soft copy document, There's no logical meaning of this. But let's say while creating this document, my management team will fill the details. Let's say name is Vimal. Technically, as you think, there's no logical meaning of this, right? Because while creating the document, right, filling the something is no meaning. So we always create a document of form empty with some attribute names. So they will fill, somebody will fill it. Okay, but let's say I will look fill. That's what they're talking about. Name is not defined. So let me fill it. Let's say name is Vimal. Why? Because I want to explain some syntax here. Let's say phone number is 1234 and let's say remark is okay. So we will this information in this variables, right? Now in this case, if I run my code, okay, so what you will see if I run my code here, so let me run this code over here. Now there is no error come up, obviously, because this variable, if you giving you directly, they will definitely fail. You have to feed some data, but technically this class has been created. This class has been created, but and that's one thing. There's no meaning of this line. It is working syntactically, they are right, or syntactically they are right, but logically there is no meaning, because this class like a soft copy, and this soft copy will print to the customer and they're going to use it. Okay, and they will feed their details. So how we can do, I will explain you in a minute, but till now let me show you something. If you now talk about the visitors, okay, now if you see the dir with all function is possible in the visitors, so these are the predefined functions available in the visitors. Okay, one thing if you notice here, because in this class we have given this 3 variable names. Okay, so all the 3 name will be come up here. It means if you write visitors dot name, we can retrieve this name. Okay, if you write visitors, there's a class name, that phone number, you will get this phone number. Okay, so I'm just giving you some very basic syntax here, but this code is not at all useful and usable, because there's no meaning of this code to solve any problem. I'm just giving you a keyword here, that's all, but there's no meaning of the code here. Okay, what I mean by this, it is exactly like with my management team create a document as soft copy, and same time they feed the details. Sometimes we need it. Okay, sometimes if you know your information already and you don't want to create any template or form, okay, and you know that maybe my management team is planning something, and while planning for this month or for this quarter, and let's say they plan or not plan, I can say, let's say they have the entire year completed, and in this year they collected that we have touched number of clients will be 100, and we touched the number of countries will be India and other countries, so they have the information. Okay, so this info if they already have and they want to organize the information in one area, okay, then we can get a class with the values, something like this. Okay, so I'll give you some more example, but right now the way I'm trying to explain you, that has no meaning. I want to create a class with a empty detail, so in the future my objects will be created, and on the top of the object we can feed the details. But this is also possible in some time if you know your details already and you want to organize one single class. Okay, when to use, I will tell you some more good example in some minute, but this is possible. This is syntax we can use. Okay, but I told you guys in the class, right, typically management team will do 2 things. One, they plan what functions they want to operate, what operation they want to operate, what method they want to create. Okay, after data collected, but you're not doing any operation on the data, there's no meaning of it actually. Okay, so typically, okay, what we normally do, we create a function directly inside the class. So let's say my function would be, let's say define test function, I'm just giving you. Okay, and the test function, let's say I'm printing hello, or test hello, something like this. Guys, this I'm just giving a very small structure here in a minute, but we'll go exactly this example that makes more logical sense. Okay, so just wait for some minute. So this is what, guys, the function we write here. If you write any function inside the class, in that context, this function is normally known as method. You can use the word function, that's not issue, but typically any function that you write inside the class, they are known as method. Now if I run this code, it run. Now in this class, if again run the dir command list, now we will see we have this variable and plus the function also available. It means from this class, okay, if you want to retrieve the name, you can retrieve back the name, okay. Plus in this class, if you want to call a function, then you can write in the syntax. This is my class name, inside this class call this function. So this function has been called, and what is the output you write, it right. So it's working very fine, there is no challenge. Okay, but here again this is more like a pre-tested, we're working on the pre-data, right? So not look like very realistic example, but yeah, again motto is same. I'm just giving you the some of the terms here. We'll update this code in a minute. Okay, but normally, guys, when you create a method, this method mostly have something to do, right? For example, the method would be something like this: I want to know the phone number. Okay, so maybe my method name would be print phone, or maybe I can use the print means like I want to get something, get phone. This method looks logical, right? Because method means you're doing something, either finding the phone number, updating the phone number, searching something you're doing, where special data. So because class is what we meant to organize our data, and on those data we will do some operation. If this is the requirement, if you have, then the meaning of class makes more sense. Okay, so for example, I want to do something, I want to get the phone, and I know my phone is there in the phone variable. Okay, so now when I run this, okay, and we can directly get a variable name the way I show you. We can run the function the way I show you, but we can also run a function, let's say get phone, and they will retrieve the phone number. Okay, here they tell you the issue called phone is not defined. Even the phone is defined already here, but they say phone is not defined. Okay, what is this issue? Why they are showing this? Okay, why phone is not defined? For this, I have to explain you one more concept of the function is called local and global variables. Okay, so first guys, let me explain you what is local variable and global variable. Okay, and then we come back here. Okay, before this, let me first go actually to this concept, because local global variable will take you to different topic in a minute. I want to first complete this topic, how to object create. But right now, guys, there is no object created, and there is no as such the logical class created that has this kind of soft copy example, right? But here, guys, at least you get the idea. Let's focus about this topic in a minute. I will come back to you this topic. But at least what you understood in the class, we can give a variable names, okay, and the functions. This is how it look like this. But typically, this is not the logical code is created. There is no syntax error as such. But logically, okay, whenever you create a class, okay, you have a plan. Okay, again I'm taking the same example. Okay, same example. The plan would be something like this, that I want to create a class, let's say visitor class, same thing I'm taking here, visitor class, and in this class, right, we want to feed the data of the customer. Okay, name I don't have right now. Okay, anything that you don't have right now but you want to create a variable. So normally in the Python we have a none keyword. None means nothing, we don't know. So I don't know the name right now. Okay, I want to collect the phone number. I don't know the phone number right now. Okay, I want to connect the remarks. I don't know the remarks right now, and it's capital here. So predefined keyword means nothing. I don't know right now about these details. Okay, so what I want, it will look like a soft copy, a soft copy. Okay, so what I want, any visitors come. So let's say, according to my example, first visitor, let's say Eric come. So as soon as Eric come, I will create a hard copy print for the Eric. How? I will call this class. So when you call this class, means the soft copy. This is how we call. Like a normal, we call the function, same way we call the class. But as soon as we call the class, okay, it internally means this soft copy is printed into the hard copy, and this hard copy is handed over to Eric. Or in simple term, this class will instantiate, this called instantiation, and it become object, and object name is Eric. And this line also have one meaning. This line means it's something like this. So as the Eric come, we give some area in the memory. Okay, and in this area we give this area will give some what I say this memory address, and this memory address is stored in this variable, and this variable object. In our case, the variable name is Eric. So whatever you want to understand, you can understand. Now in this case, if I run this, now this time we have created a new object. Okay, if you talk about this object, okay, if you run this, this is just this line means I am an object, I am located at this memory address. In my case, let's say 1 2 3 4. So I am an object, I am located in this memory address. In my case, is this whatever the address would be. Okay, but I am the object of the visitor class. Means I am a hard copy, I printed from this soft copy. You can think in this way. And in this memory address, if you want to check in this memory address what all data you have, in this memory address. So for this, we have a direct keyword available from the Python. Okay, and that is known as underscore dictionary. So this is an internal predefined keyword given by Python. Okay, this is special variable, I can say, is called underscore dict underscore. Okay, they will tell you at this address all the details you have. Right now they show you have nothing. You have nothing. Okay, why? Because when we create an object from this class, they have the empty form. Okay, nothing is there. Okay, so in technically this box has been created in the RAM, but this box has the empty details. But one thing is being given in this box, and say, Eric, you want to feed the detail, right? If you use dot and you use tab, these are the details you can feed. Now I'm asking my Eric something like this: Eric, that you come to us and we ask you to feed the details. Now it is not like randomly you can feed. These are the options we are giving to you. Okay, you can have to feed. If I use tab, these are the details you can feed. So you can feed the name. Let's say your name is Eric K something. Okay, so feed your name. Okay, so now this name is stored in a variable called name. So this name is stored in the variable called name. Where? In this area, in this address object. Okay, and how they store in this area? Because while storing the name, we give the address name. How? By the syntax. So this line, name is a variable name, and this name is actually your address name. So if you ask the Eric, who are you? I am the address. I know where am I exist in the RAM. So either you can say this is the address name, or memory address, or object name is same thing. Okay, so rather than you give this name, we normally give the name or the address by the object name. Object name is this kind of variable name here that is created initially from the class. So this syntax actually is what I explained to you. Okay, this is actually your object name. So normally we write the object name dot then your attribute name or the variable name. And because every object name will be different, so this object name will be different, so this variable name won't be conflict. Okay, so technically this is how we store. But now in this area we have some data. Now if you try to feed or try to see with dictionary, now they say now in the area of Eric these details we have. But if I ask Eric, you are the object, or in this area what all the variable possible, say phone, so I can say 1 2 3 4. So in this area now phone is also stored. Now ask Eric what all the details you can store. Let's say remark. Let's say remark is okay. So in this area, this all details is possible. So it's one single keyword. This will give you all detail in one single go. But if you want to retrieve one particular thing, so let's say I want to retrieve the Eric phone number. So Eric phone number has been retrieved. That's a different point. So from this area, only phone number will be retrieved like this. But now guys, now in this way I can store more details other users, other visitors. How? Okay, again I go to my soft copy of visitor. It's called class, and say we have one more user called Tom. Can you create one object for this, or can you create one hard copy of this? This is called instantiate. Now if you ask Tom, so technically this line means now we have a different address given. If this line means this is a different area we have created for the Tom, and in this area these are the details we have right now. If you use this underscore dix with 3 different keyword, empty, but in this Tom I can feed the details of Tom. Let's say Tom P something, Tom phone something, Tom let's say remark, let's say good. Okay, now here we store this, and that's the one thing guys, this variable is exactly like this variable, but at the same point in time I can retrieve, store Eric name, phone number also, and same point in time in same variables I can store all the things if they are not conflicting. But guys, the way I explained to you here is, if you use normally, if you write one more time, they will all write. This problem has been solved. The second thing is, if you use different variable name, they are stored randomly in the RAM here and there. That's what I showed to you. But here, this entire information is stored in one single area at this address. So entire information about this object we can retrieve very quickly. Okay, and that's what we want to organize it in this way. Plus, in this example where I explained to you, they have a choice to give their own variable name. You can give any name. So it's very harder to manage those things by writing the further code like for loop or function. But here, we have given them a proper guideline that you have to use this variable, and this variable. Okay, so accordingly they will use the same variable. Now this variable phone is same, and they also use the same variable name. It's not phone, so P capital, everybody you have the same variable name or the attribute name. So these things can all be solved. Okay, I think guys you got the idea. You're getting the idea. Some more things we can do. You will might have to find some issue here in this code. I will update the code in a minute, but at least you get the idea what class is and what is the object uses, right? Now let me code this a little bit more strong, right? So what happened? Okay, what happened when you create a object from the class? Okay, after you create the object, then we have a capability. Okay, to give the values. Okay, it means if you have 10 attributes, so we can write Eric phone, postal code, country code, all the things, right? Store it, thing will work. Okay, but why we are creating the object from this class? So that in this object area or instance, right, we will store these informations. Okay, so rather than we can store one by one the way I show you, so what can we do? We can also do in this way. While creating this object, we can pass here. You can pass that I'm giving the Eric as a name, I'm giving phone number, I'm giving remark. So rather than write this kind of number of lines here to store phone and remarks and all the things, it takes some time. Extra unwanted code will be created. Okay, so what can we do? Because this is what the use is, right? So why not, while creating the object, feed the details in all the variables? Okay, it will save our time and also save our code also. So how we can do this? Okay, while creating the object, same time I want this information filled. How we can do this? To understand this concept, right? How we can do this? I have to explain one concept beforehand. One thing I already told you guys, in this class, we can also write a function's name. Okay, what a function or method you want to write, right? You can write it. For example, let me give one more time. Let's say I'm going to write a function called Linux world. Okay, and in the Linux world I want to print, let's say, hello. It's working, right? But if you want to use this function, okay, one of the way also to use is I can ask Eric, you can use the variable name if you want. So anything inside the class, any variable names of functions can be used by the objects. Okay, for example, Eric can use the name variable, right? They can use the name variable, but at the same time, Eric can also use a function name like this. Okay, they can use, but there is some error coming up. Okay, they can use the function, but let's say there is some error coming up. This error say that you have given 0% argument, but 1 was given. Means what is it talking about? Which is very important concept. what this error means. Okay, very important concept. So whenever you are using any function, that is also known as method, okay, from your object. Okay, so what happened? It means if you talk about this memory, so whenever guys you create the object, we give an object a different area. This area has their own memory address. Okay, and all the variable of this object is stored here. Okay, all the variables or attributes with the data stored here. At the same time, okay, all the methods also will be stored here. Method will be stored here. It means whenever you create a object, everything that is inside the class, all the variable name, whatever value you give initially, or all the function name with the code, everything will be reside inside this particular area. Why? Because I have multiple objects, multiple names. Every name will have their own different values, variables, values, and other things. Okay, and this entire data, let's say this belongs to Vimal, or maybe give a different name because Vimal I use in the top as a management name. Let's say this is the belong to Sarah. So this is the area for the Sarah. Here we are storing the Sarah related data. Okay, and why we store this data? So on this data I can do some operations. How? By writing the functions. So if function is available here, then only we can do it. We can do these operations. So functions we have to write inside, and I want to provide the function inside this box. So my function can work on this data directly, and data can be local to this function. Now what I mean by local? So let me stop in this topic for 5 minutes. Then first explain the local concept of function. Then you can understand what is going on, or why we are doing this, or why normally they do this. So let's come back to one topic called function that you know already. But one concept I want to show you is this one. For example, whenever you create a function, in this function, if you create a variable, let's say 5, and you print the value x, print. So when you create a function, call the function, the value will be printed. Okay, it's printed. Now in this entire example, If you create one more variable x outside the function with a different value 10, this variable is outside the function. Okay, so what happened when I run this variable? Okay, now x is 10, x is 5. Obviously guys, when the last time x come up, they will overwrite. So initial value of x is 10. Now if it's print, now x is 10. Now when this function call, x will be changed to 5, and that's what the 5 is printed. Now technically, logically, initial value of x is 10, now it's been changed to 5. It means if I again try to print the value of x, okay, it should print 5, but they're still printing 10. Okay, technically when you run the code, first line this run, they change the value to 10. When this line run, when you call it, they change to value 5. So logically after this, the value should be print 5, but they're still printing 10. Why this is happening? Okay, so let me explain this concept very quickly. So what happened guys, whenever guys, this is again very interesting concept. Whenever you run a program, this is the program you have, okay, when you run it, it becomes process. Means, let's say this is your entire RAM. So when you run the program, first your operating system where you're running the program, they go to the RAM and take some space from the RAM. Okay, entire things about your program will be loaded here. This space wherever they are running this program are known as process. Okay, now in this process guys, this is the one part. Let's say this my RAM size is 8 GB in size in total area. When you run a program, process start, and this process will take, let's say, 10 MB space at this point in time from the RAM. But in this entire 10 MB, okay, typically your space divided in 3 parts mainly, maybe more also. Divide means logically they divided, just for understanding the concept. So this part is known as code section. So right now guys, this entire code right now is there in my hard disk actually. When I write the code, save the code, it's stored directly in the hard disk. But when you run it, your code is called program. When I run it, it becomes process and load in the RAM where this area. The code will load here. This is called code section. Okay, and this 2 part is a memory. This memory is known as stack memory, and this memory is known as heap memory. Okay, so right now guys, my focus area would be stack memory, this part, what we have at this area. Okay, so at this area what we have. Okay, so whenever you create a variables, something like this, where you know the value already, value has been defined already, are normally known as static kind of variables, that we know already the values, we know how much space they're going to consume. So these variable guys will take the space from the stack memory. Okay, they take the space from here, 4 byte, whatever the byte would be, they take from here. Similarly, your function code is stored in the code section. Every code is there in the code section only. Code here is stored. But when we call the function, means we ask the function to run these lines of code. Okay, so first function will take a space from the stack memory here. So this area will be given to the function. Name in my case is called Linux code. So they take this space in the stack memory. Okay, and what they do, code is there only, but when you run it, they take the space, and what a function is doing, okay, their data will be stored here. So in this case, X will be stored over here in the separate area of this function. And whenever you run the function, they take the space from the stack memory, and this area where function is taking the space are known as AR. Okay, that's called activation record of the function. Means they contain the current active record, what the current value of x is. It's called activation record. Okay, now if you see here, okay, technically, if you see this entire area, one single area or one single process, x is also here and x is also here. This contain 10, this contain 5. Same thing we are accommodating. Why is possible? And they are not overwriting. Why? Because this x is there outside this function. So technically this is the boundary of the function. Okay, and this is x is outside the boundary. And you guys know in the function, guys, every function has their own name or their own address. For example, LW function, they have the own. If I show you the ID of the function has the own address. So the function know, let's say I belong to address number 92, for example. So this is a different address where we know where the function is located. 92 address in this example, in my example right now. Okay, I'm 92. I'm just taking the last number. This not. I don't want you to get confused. So technically, what I'm talking about. So technically, function is stored separately. Okay, and they don't interfere with any of the outside variables. And outside variable also not interact with the function. Okay, this is one thing, and that is the reason two variables maybe look like same, but they won't conflict. They will handle different value because they're managed in different area. Same function, same variable will handle different value because they handle a different, managed in different area altogether. So there is no meaning of conflict, even though they're running in the same process, same program file, same stack memory, but they are not conflict because different area they maintain. In this context, any variable that is inside the function are known as local variable because they are local to the function. Any variable that is outside of the function are known as global variable. Why global? Because same variable can be used by other function also. What I mean by this, in a minute I will tell you. But this is how it works. That is a reason when you get x equal 10, when you run the function, okay, this variable created locally in this area. So if I create x equals to 10, they is stored in a global area. When I create this variable is stored in a local area. We're calling LW, so we're calling only the local variable. So this local variable is with printed. Now if you when I run x, because I'm running x in this from this area, so they pick the data from the global area. So this x actually retrieve the data from this area, this global area. And when I call LW, they're getting the x value printed because we asked to print from the local area. So that is the reason, guys, this is happening. This is one thing. One more thing I want to show you here is, if I give a variable name called as a y equals to 45, let me print both x and y. So when this both will be printed. Now after this, if I try to print y, it field is not defined. Why? Because if I guys need to be enhance this diagram, let me create one more time. So this is stack memory. Whenever you create a function, your function will store in the stack memory or take the space from the stack memory whenever you call it. Then they create the space area called activation record. Okay, and according to our example, they store x and y here, x also with some data, y also with some data. Okay, and this area they take from the stack memory. But how long this area will be allocated to this function in this memory? Till the time your function is running. As soon as the function stop, this activation record will be removed. Means all the local variable will be removed. Okay, and guys, right now the function life is very small here, only 3 lines. And I told you in my last class, guys, if you write or don't write, in the last line always return keyword is there. Return means now this function will exit and stop the function. If you write on red, last line is already written. So that is the reason, guys, when we run this code, we get the data. But after this, they will stop the function, means they will asking to free this memory, remove the space. So this y also remove, and that is the reason when you try to print the y, it won't run. It won't get. But if you print the x is also not getting, right? Why we getting the x? Because x is there in a different area. It outside the function. So from here we are getting it. Okay. So that is also one of the reasons why it's called local variable. And local variable is kind of temporary. Temporary means till the function is running, a local variable value exists. One more thing I want to tell you here is, let's say we have one more variable called z, value called, let's say, 55. Okay, and if I try to use z somewhere here, okay, so we can get it, even though z is not there in the locally. So how it work? Again, whenever you call a function, let's say, let me write one more time. When I call a function, okay, so whatever value or local variable they have, 5, whatever local variable have 45, will be take the space from your activation record, or something also known as stack frame. Okay, but in this area my function code is also exist. Which code? This code. In this code, because we're looking for z to use or print or use somewhere, because z is not available, in this case they will go out and check does z is available in a global area, means outside the function. So in that case z is available for 55. So now in this case, when my code is looking for z but z is not available inside the function, that's called local, then they go global to check. Okay, and they retrieve the value, and that's what the print output comes. So there's also one point to be added. Okay, one more point, guys, last point. If you have any variable, let's say p, maybe having the value called pop, I can use p here. I show you, we can use p. You can get the data from the global. But if you want to change the data of the global, let's say I want to change the value of p to my name Vimal. So technically now p is local, so this print will take the value from local only. Now they won't go for global. Okay, but they won't change also. It look like p is changed to Vimal, but it's not changed. I told you already. In this case, we are trying to print p. They're still taking globally, and the data is not changed in globally. Okay, but if you want to do some operation in the globally from your function, okay, for example, this is a function, and from my function area I want to contact to global data, not only to retrieve, I also want to change this value to something else. Okay, from the function, inside the function, we can change outside the function, because this variable is global. I can change here, let's say I can change to Tom, it will work. So this is the global area of my outside the function, this is the global area of my outside the function, we can change. But my point here is I want to change this thing from inside the function, right? For example, right now it is not changed, they're still taking this. So inside the function, or from within the function, I want to change this value. For this, we can use one keyword called global keyword here. It means I'm asking my function and say this p is, don't treat now, right now you treat p as a local. Local means you create a locally inside your box p here. So don't create any p here locally. Go to your global one, go to your global area, and then do some changes there directly. So go to your global area and change something there. Okay, in this case there's some syntax error, okay, because you have to first define p globally in this way. Now it's work. After define, then we can do some operations. Let's say hello. But guys, I'll explain you this concept again in some of my other classes, but yeah, say it's been changed. See, here changed. But I think you got the idea. So create a global variable, change it. We can use locally the way we're using it, but technically this global variable means I'm asking to my function, now don't create P locally. Create X and Y locally in your Active code, but don't create, it means point this thing to your global address. And because now you're pointing to global address, whatever data they have, override it and right. That's what, guys, that's the reason your global variable was pop, now it's been changed to this one. Even though if we can might check in this way, let me try if we can show you. Right now the ID or the memory address of P is this one, okay, and if you try to print the memory address of same P, okay, here guys, due to some reason, that's what I'm not trying to show you, but some reason they change you because they add extra pointer in between. But technically what I was trying to tell you, okay, so this P actually they're pointing to this one also, but they add extra pointer in between to contain reference, but they point here. So I don't want to confuse that word, and I don't want to try to show you in this way. Okay, just forget this pointer. Okay, but this is, guys, how it works. So depend upon what you're looking for. So this is one concept of the functions. Okay, now if you after understand this concept, right, again I'm repeating, any variable outside the function are global variable, any variable that you create inside function are local variables. Life of the local variable is the life of the function. As function stop return, the entire data will be removed from the RAM. This goes stack memory. But the data in the variable is still available till your program is done. When your entire program closed, then only your local variable will removed. Okay, otherwise it won't remove by default. So this is one idea. Otherwise global extra things I explained to you, there's a different point. Now come back to our classes. Okay, now come back to class. Now what I'm trying to tell you here is, okay, whenever you create any object has some memory, let's say this one, okay, and in this area all the variable we store with the data, okay, and these variables are here actually in this context known as local variables. Almost same concept what we have in the functions. But on all those local variables, if you want to perform something, you need some method to perform. Okay, but in this method, right, you have to tell where this variable is located. Okay, because right now if you're asking this function to run, okay, and this function, let's say getting a name variable or phone variable, but now name variable, guys, is also located here, name variable also located here, also here. How my function come to know where to get the name variable? So because the motto of, guys, function in the Python, okay, again I'm repeating, don't write now, focus in the function part is completed. I just explained this concept extra because this part is still left in my last class, so I cover this topic here. I cover intensely because whenever I use the word local global, you can reference very quickly. That is the reason. Otherwise, this next topic I'm explaining you, don't try to mix the concept with this at all right now at this point. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you guys here is, mostly we create a method or function in the class that do something on the data, and if you want to use the data, you need a variables. And now same variable we have hundreds and thousands, right? Here also we have a name variable, here also a name variable, we have a name variable. Okay, so function will confuse. That is the reason whenever you create a function, okay, we have to tell you have to use this name variable that is inside this address, or you have to use this name variable that is inside this address. Okay, and because this is a very common thing, because normally method function will do only on data only, and data variable is same in all the objects. Okay, that is the reason. There's a by default behavior of the Python is what they do whenever you call any function. This is called object actually. When you call any function, by default, obviously you call the function with your object name. Okay, but by default, right, your function will take one argument. If you write or don't write, even though you don't have to write, they take the one argument that is called memory address. So when you call, you don't have to write. Okay, by default function will take the memory address of this object. So in this object, guys, okay, right now whatever the memory address would be, this one, this memory address of this object, or I can say according to this diagram, the memory address of this object is this one, automatically given to this function. Okay, so when you call this function, they will send this memory address. You don't have to write, internally it goes. It means you are sending one memory address. This is what the error is. One address is given. Okay, one address is given. But wherever you're calling it, they don't have any argument to hold it. Okay, you guys know when you call a function, if you give any value here, let's go property. In this case, the value here in our case is address of the array. Okay, so this function should have one argument here to hold it. So let's say argument is a. Okay, and guys, that was the error is coming. Now it won't come. So you always send your address, because mostly if you don't send the address, how the function know where your data located? If they don't know where the data located, how they retrieve it? Okay, how they retrieve the data? Or let's say they will say, I want to retrieve name. So there's a lot of name available. They're confused, right? So I want to retrieve only name of Eric. Let's say Eric is there in the address number 22222. So by default behavior is you don't have to do it. By default the Python will do, because it's a very common thing. So when you call the object, you have to give the address, and that is the reason why we have the syntax. You give the object name dot method name. Now in this case, let me read my code. This part. Now guys, there is no error come up, and this function runs successfully. Now where I want to use a, there is a different point. I'll show you in a minute. But let me show you very quickly what is the output of the a if you want to check. So here they will print this address. Here exactly same address they print. So by default, what the address of the Eric? Okay, same address by default they send to LW function. Okay, they store in this a, and they want to store somewhere depend, and as it is we printed just to confirm same address they are sending. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Now, what is use of this address? That's one point to know, right? But normally it is very common. Right now, I use a variable here. You can use b, p, whatever you want to use. You can use here. Okay. So whatever address, let me copy the code from here. Let me type somewhere here. Okay. So guys, whenever you call any function, that is also known as method by the object, okay, they always send the address, because we use this address a lot. I'll show you how and when. Okay, so because this is very common practice, so normally in the Python is very standardized. Even though you can use any variable name, it's just a variable name, like a local variable name to this function. You can use any, but the standard in the market in Python is we always use self keyword or variable name. It's just a variable name, you can use any. But normally if you see any Python code anywhere in the world, everybody use self. So now onward, I'm going to use self only. But by this example, at least you understand self is not a keyword. A lot of guys think actually self is a keyword. It's just a variable name, you can use anything. So to give this myth, proper explanation, or to explain you this myth, I just take this example in this way. So this is just a variable name, you can give any. But mostly in the market, everybody use self. So the guys think the self is a predefined keyword. Is not. It's just a variable name. But now onward, I'm going to use self only. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay. So it means this is the class we created. Okay, and then from this class, okay, we have this function we created. Now whenever you call this function, we can give the object name and say, in object I have this function, I want to call you so that you can do something for me. And what they can do, that was the point I will discuss in a minute. Okay, in a minute. Okay, for example, maybe my function would be something like this. Let's say if I set my name, so where this name is stored, this name is stored in this address, name is stored in this address. So I can create a function and say, do one thing, I have a name in my address, go and retrieve it and print it. Okay, so when I call the function, print my name. In this case, guys, let me set my name again. In this case, if we call this function, it failed. Why? Because you asked them to print the name, okay, but there is a lot of name available, which one to print. So they're confused. So you have to be very clear, okay, you have to be very clear that you have to print the name variable that is inside my box, inside my address. Okay, so we'll ask Eric, call the function, send your address. And why we're sending address? Because here we use it. We say this name you have to print, but this name is inside my address. And that is the reason, guys, we always send the address. Again, I'm repeating this line. Okay, whenever you want to run a function that will do something for you, let's say they want to retrieve your print name, change your name, whatever you want to do. Okay, change your name. So in this case, okay, because there's lots of name available in the multiple area, multiple objects we have. So while calling this function, we'll send our address. This address in this case stored in the self variable. Self contain what? Self contain this address, in this case 330. And now we say, now we reach to this box. Now inside this box, whatever the name variable you have, retrieve it. I don't want you this, I don't want this, only this. So that's what I write. Whatever wherever you reach, then in that box, name variable that you have, I want to print this. Now in this case, let me first copy this code. Let me run before this. Let me set the name, and now it will print the name. Now if I change my name also, let's say Eric, new name, my name changed, my function will do something and then retrieve the name. This is how it works. So technically, what I'm trying to tell you here is, finally you create a class with some kind of attributes. Initially is none. Why none? Because we don't know what data my customer want to feed. So my customer Eric come up, object created, and Eric say, in this name variable I want to feed my name. But this name will be stored in name variable where? In my personal area. Okay, but in the future, if somebody want to retrieve my full name, okay, so then they can say my area name is Eric, or my object name is Eric. In my object, I want to run some functions. What function will do? Function will print hello or hi, and mostly typically we write the function in such a way that will do something on the data. They want to print the name, update the name, remove the name, search the name, something like this. And that is the reason, guys, why they are not known as function. Okay, function normally means functionality. Function means maybe you want to send the message from the emails. They are known as functionalities. Okay, but here mostly in the classes, because the class is meant for managing the data, so mostly the function that we create here is to handle this data. Maybe to print the name, or maybe I can create one more function here. Let's say edit function. Okay, where I say whatever the address you are going to pass to this function, in this address, whatever the let's say name we have, I want to update. Okay, I want to update a new name. Okay, update new name, something like this. So it means let me give a different name here. Let's say this is get name. So this function will help you to get name of the customer, whatever the name you have set and how you set. This function is helping you to edit name, to edit the name or to change the name or to modify the name. Okay, or let me use the word called update the name. It's better term use. Okay, so now in this class we have a lot of data. Now my management team plan what functionality we have to give to our user. Can we retrieve the name, whatever they stored, they can update the name, whatever they stored, what function they want to do. So now this class created. Now one view visitor come up. Let's say initially this visitor will store the name and say my name is Eric new. Okay, after this if they want to get the name, they can get in this way. The name will come up. If they want to change the name or update the name, they can use this function to update. But in this case guys, this will fail. And very simple, if you asking to update, so but of which they will tell what name they want to update. Okay, tell me the new name. So it's very common, you have to give the new name. So and how to give the new name to a function, we always give a parameter. Let's say my new name would be my Eric. Okay, so you give the new name. Again guys, here there's one error come up. 2 is given. Why? Because we calling this function that is also known as method. 2 are value we given. One is this name and one is always by default go your memory address. So 2 has been given, but 1 is been used here. Go for variable only. Because you're passing 2 names. 2 means one is memory address and one is this value. So you use 2 variable here. So let's say this self and let's say this is a new name. And same new name what I'm using here. So now again let me repeat. Initially let's say we set the name. Okay. Now after we set the name, we somebody want to retrieve the name in the future, they can retrieve. They want to set the new name, they can set. Again they want to check what is the new name we will have. You get it. So point here is, I'm not creating a code something like the sending WhatsApp message or sending emails, right? They are a functionality or my media player I want to play and stop the code, right? Or host a website or do a chatting. Okay, mostly in the classes you can create it. There's no harm. You can create a WhatsApp function, you can create a chat function here, it works. But logically as a plan perspective, what you have to do, class is meant to store the data of that particular object. Okay, the data may be about the car models, data may be about your products informations. Okay, and upon this data what functionality you want to perform. Okay, those functions normally we write here. I want to get my product name, I want to update my product price maybe in the future. Okay, so those data related things we write a function here. That is the reason they are known as different methods. We have different method to perform something on this data. So that is the reason they are known as method, but technically you can use the function also as a word here. Okay, that's the idea I'm just giving to you. And that is one point. Now one more point here is, okay, right now if you have lots of variables you have, okay, and normally you want to feed all the variable names. Okay, so rather than you feed in this way, they will show you, we can use a better approach. The better approach would be something like this. You know guys, whenever you run a function, whenever you create a object, okay, you know what this line means? This line means your class name. You know what this line means? We're asking and calling the class. The class is just a template. We can't call the class. Okay, we always call a functions by the symbol. So this line means inside the class there's one special function available internally. So when you run this function always call. Okay, so there is one internal special function in the class. This functions we created, or this method we created, but this one special function in the class is there available, but this function is not doing anything right now. Okay, so this line means when you call a class, create object, this function, and that function always call. And this function name is underscore underscore int underscore underscore. By default the function is empty, nothing is there, empty. Okay, so whenever you guys you create a class, this line means inside this class there is a special function by this name. This is a predefined function given by the Python. Even though if you check also visitor, right, and if you see the dir, this is a predefined function available inside. Even though if you don't create, it is predefined available. But this function has a special meaning. Okay, meaning means whenever you call this class first time, when you create first time, when you create object, so whenever you instantiate this function, always run that point in time, or I can say only first time. And now because we know this function, so we can do a lot of things here. For example, let's say I want to print something. Okay, new object created, because this function only run first time only and the object created. So they help us to set this message. For example, as soon as I run this code, you can see again the same error was because same thing, because whenever you whenever you call anything, they behind the scene send your address. So this line also sending the error. So when this line means Eric is a one object created, and this object guys is been created in the RAM, and what a memory address of the RAM, this address will send to this function. Which function? This function. So 1 has been given but 0 has been available here, so we have to give a variable name here. You can use any variable, but mostly typically we use cell phone. Okay, now this will come. So typically we can do something like this. So whenever new customer come up, we create a class so object for the customer. That time this function automatically run. In this case, what you want to do, okay, you want to send a message to a manager that some new customer join. When a new product come, we create an object for the product. As soon as the product come, we can send the SMS to some all the customers, okay, by the bulk SMS services. And the new product come, we'll send a broadcast marketing message to everyone and say new product has been arrived. So by default, whenever you want any object created first time object created is called instantiation. Okay, instantiation, instead have created. Okay, at this time if you want some function, some functionality automatically happened automatically. Okay, so for this is the function we can use, but the function run only once when you create the object. Okay, or when you construct the object, and that is the reason guys this function is known as constructor. So every language has their own way of creating constructor, but in the Python, okay, this is the constructor or constructor function or constructor method, I can say we can use here. Okay, this is constructor. This is a predefined name. This will only run when you create the object first time only. Okay, we have a destructor also. What is destructor? We'll discuss in some time, but this is called constructor. Okay, now we can use this constructor for multiple purpose. Some of the example I have given to you. As the new car come up, we create a new car object to fit the car related details or car related properties or attributes. But same point in time, as we create a new car object, okay, to fit the details, we can send the message to all of our employees that new car has been arrived. So those things we can do. Plus we can do one more thing, because guys the way I explained to you, when we run this code, okay, this code means, okay, this new object created because of this equal to symbol from this class, and these new object guys will take the space from the RAM, and let's say the address will be 1234. So this line guys, okay, because internally we are also calling a function, this function, actually this line means they are calling this function. So internally this address has been passed to this function in the self variable. Means this function know, because of this variable, where this Eric object located. in the RAM. Okay, so that now because we know the address, so what can we do? And in this address we can go and set the values, name value, phone values. What I mean by this, it means now we can use the constructor for one more purpose. We can say we know your address. Now in this address I can set your name. I can set your name. In this address I can set your phone number. In this address I can set your remarks. But I don't know what name and phone number you have, so you have to send from here. So you have to send your Eric full name, you have to send your phone number, you have to send your remark. So while calling this function, means this function, how? By calling the class or creating an object, you can pass these three information. Let's say I will take this information in a variable called n. Next information I will take this information, because we're calling function will obviously store in the argument called p, and next I store in r. Now where I want to use this is my choice. I can use n here, I can use p here, or I can do some further calculation before we can store here. Now I'm using this constructor for one more purpose. The purpose would be, now as soon as my object create, okay, automatically my data will feed. Now it means what I was talking about. Now it means after object create, you don't have to manually feed the name, feed the phone number, feed the remark. It doesn't look good, or doesn't makes good better practice in terms of managing the code also. Finally, when you create an object, it means you have to feed the data. So why not at the time of creating feed it? Okay, so entire information will store where in the Eric memory. Even though I can check very quickly, we have one way available, __ dict we can use. You can see entire information feed in one go. Okay, and that's one thing, guys. This is the class, and we are calling the constructor with this name. In constructor 4 argument, 1 4, the address that Eric gave. Why address we need? Because we have hundreds of different address for every objects. How my function here called constructor is one function, like a normal function, or maybe I can say normal method. How they come to know where they would like to store. Okay, so this variable, this Eric will send the first argument is address, they store here, and remaining how many you want to send, that will be your choice. You can send over here. Over here. For good practice, guy, I told you, whenever you create a variable name and my function class, I told you, always give a better name. That makes more sense what you're doing. Whatever name you're using, same name you can use. Understand, guys, this name is a local variable name only for this constructor. As soon as the constructor complete, there's no meaning of this local name. But this name look like same, but this is different, this is different. Okay, this name is stored in the area of your object. So object has their own personal area. So object will take the different area in the memory, and function will take the different area in the memory, especially in the stack memory. So by chance this both the name are same. To make this thing simple, let me change the name here. My name, my phone number, my remarks. So that makes more logical. Otherwise something it look like they both the names should be same. No. This name is the local variable name for this function, and they will take the space from the stack memory. What I explained to you, this is called activation record. After the function close, mostly they have a function will actually have return. After the function close, everything will be removed from this variable. But from this variable, whatever you store here will store in this address, and this address belongs to Eric. So it will be still there. Okay, till the time your program is running, till the time Eric object is there, this value will be there. So we can keep on using again and again. Okay. So this is also the way to think of. Now, in this example, same thing will up, right? We have the data created, and this entire data has been created. Okay. And now because we have given a better variable name, so you can also write in this way. While storing the data, right? Even though we can see the help also. Help say when you call the visitor class, we know logically internally they are going to create a call a constructor that will initialize the thing. Okay, and these are the variable my constructor support. So better we can write in this way, the way I show in my function, named argument. So I can say my name equals to this one, my phone equals to this one, or my remark equals to this one. That makes more logical. So this makes code more clear what we are storing and where we are storing. The same concept as we explained in the function classes also. This is called named argument. So finally, this is class. Inside the class, they are calling the function. Maybe function name is logic is constructor. Constructor they run automatically. Normally we call a function by ourselves manual. This function run automatically. That is in the non is constructor. But the remaining concept of the function is same. Okay. So see, all the idea of the function you can apply here. Okay. So that is one point. So point is, guys, the good practice, if you want to dump any data of the object, always try to dump with the help of constructor. Because constructor always run, so you can leverage this power. You don't have to manually run it. Plus, in one single code, entire data has been stored. Rather than you feed manually one by one. After data is stored in your own box, the box is called object. Now with this data, what you want to do further, that would be your choice. What you want to do further. Okay. So further would be, maybe you want to retrieve my name. So this is a requirement. So create a one function, something like that, they will retrieve your name. Maybe I want to give a customer facility or my user facility. Initially, you're setting a mobile number. But maybe in the future, I want to change your mobile number. It's called update your mobile number. We are giving you pre-created functionality, okay, to change the mobile number. So here we can give this functionality over here, where in your address, what address you provide me while calling this function, in this address, wherever we have the mobile as a variable, mobile phone as a variable, I will change the number for you. That's a new phone. But obviously, you to give me your new phone while calling this function. Okay, so now this is the initial mobile number is set. Okay, you can check this is the mobile number set. But in the future, if you want to change the mobile number, so in this object you give the object name, right? You can call this function that I want to update the mobile number, and my mobile number, let's say 333, has been changed. Okay, so we can get a multiple method depend upon our requirement. A requirement we can create. Okay, this is one point. One more thing, guys, I want to tell you, very interesting, very critical point. Okay, you guys might have also this point in your mind. Whenever you create a class, you plan which all variables you want to use. There's a planning, but it's not hard coded. What I mean by hard coded means anybody who use this class, they can see, okay, they can see for example, by this variable, which all the variables they have, or maybe they can use this dot, they can see all the variable that you have, they can see it. Okay, but they have a capability to change, create new. For example, in Eric, I can directly create new. For example, I want to store my country name, I can add here, it will work. See, obviously this is the string. So maybe my management team has planned that these are the 3 things I want to ask from a customer in the form. Initially I make it none, they will feed it with the help of this constructor now. Okay, they can feed it, so they fill this form. Okay, the filling this form is automatically done by customers, so that is the reason they are known as constructors. Okay, but they also have a capability in the form, they can add their own variable names. Like country, it will store. We can stop it because this is a memory. Okay, in the memory, okay, if I give somebody a memory access, right, they can add more variables and more data. Okay, more data. Okay, that is a reason it is highly recommended. Okay, don't store this data in this way, or don't take this as a practice to store data in this way. Whenever you want to store a data, use this practice. Okay, if you use this practice, there's a possibility maybe you want to store the phone number, right? If you're storing by your own way, maybe the next time you might give a different spelling for the phone number. Spelling is wrong, P is capital. So internally you look like phone store, but internally they create a different variable name, P. This is different. Now same issue will come the way I started. Now a lot of different variables created with different names. So writing some automation code will be very harder, and my data variable name is not be standardized. Okay, so that is a reason it is highly recommended. Don't use this practice store. Okay, so whenever you want to store any information, always use this practice. Or if you want to change, right, we can change also directly in this way. Things here, initially was just something, it will change. It's working. We can also change in this way, but don't use the best practice, right? Because you are the developer, you have everything. So because normal mistake is done by us. And understand one thing, guys, none of the user can directly can't interact with the code. This code is written by you, and you are the one who is going to interact the code, and you are the one who is going to use this thing. So it's up to you. Do you want to use this method to add the name, or you want to use this method to add the name? Okay, but if you use this method, the code will become bigger, and sometimes you do small mistakes, the thing will don't work the way it should work, the way it should plan. A thing is not actually standardized, I can say. Okay, so that is a reason whichever capabilities, functionality you want to add, don't do directly. Okay, instead what can you do? Okay, let's say you want to change the phone number. Don't do in this way. Create a method for this. Okay, if you use the method, then there is no chances of having any errors. And method also help my other developers who will develop with me to understand which all capability we should allow to do. Okay, because this capability come from management team. They say I will only allow to change the mobile number and the name. I won't allow to change the remarks. So what are the plans come from management team? That plan we can convert it into the method, and accordingly it will work. So it looks very logical. Otherwise, we can directly change. We can change in this way. We can change the other way also. But this is not planned. This is not right. Technically, practically, they are right, but in the way of organizing and planning perspective is not right. So again, the plan would be management team will plan that what are the functionality you want to do, what are data we have to collect, what are data to collect, you write here. How to collect, write a constructor. They are the one who collect and store in the respect to right person. If you don't take in this way, so the chances anybody feed directly data here, they add extra variable name, they give the different right wrong names, so very harder to manage in the future. So for this, we give the proper variable name first, and accordingly they use it properly here. Okay, even though we don't require to use this also, we use this for different purpose. This is class variables. What are your use of this? I will explain sometime. There's some use of the class variables, right? It's like this name is like a local, this name is also like a local, this is a global variable of the class. What are the use of this? Let me remove it for some time. I will come back to this point. I don't need actually now. Okay, now I think we work the way it should work. See here, everything's working right. Let's focus on this part. So my management team plan that they need 3 information to be stored in their self addresses, only 3. So whenever the object create, ask them to fill these details. and we give given them a proper simple names, so they understand. So this name will pick here and we update in the respective logs. Then after the feed, we are only giving them a possibility that if you want to get name, you can get the name. If you want to do something like this, update name, they can update the name, let's say Eric, update the name, then get the name. So these are the things I want to allow them, or maybe can add some more. Maybe I want to give a functionality that I want, if they want to delete the name, they can delete also. Okay, for example, how to delete, let me show you one thing for this. Let's say there's a normal variable we have. Guys, whenever you create any variable, this variable take the space from the memory. Where? You can check this at this address. So this is the address where they take the store this data in the memory. But if you want to remove the data that is stored in this memory, then we have del keyword. We ask del, they will remove. Okay, so now this means this memory address, whatever data we have has been removed. Now it's here, there is no, even though it look like X is never defined. Okay, so del is a keyword, we can remove anything. So if you want to remove anything, even though if you want to, there's one function we have LW. Okay, this function guys also take the space from memory, right? It will also take the space from memory. So you want to remove this function with entire code from the memory. The function will store the code in the memory actually. When we run it, then CP will run the code. But technically the code is there in the memory. So you want to remove this code, you can use del function. Now this function is not available, even though the code is not available, so we can't able to run it. It looks like it's not defined yet. Anything that you want to remove in the Python, like method, objects, anything you want to remove from the memory, okay, you can use the del. Even though if you want to remove this entire objects also, so this object is there, container of data, but you want to remove the entire object also, we can remove it. So the entire object from the memory means from this area memory is been removed. It looks like the object is not there. Now in this case, it's not there. So del is one keyword you can use. Similarly, I can going to use del here. Okay, so if you want to remove, let me create this object one more time, construct. Okay, this is the name we have. Now if you want to remove the name, we can say Eric in the area, I want to remove your name, del function, I can remove it. So guys, here it will remove, name has been removed from here. But again guys, accessing the attribute directly is not good practice. Don't access any attribute directly, either for delete or get and remove. Okay, maybe accidentally my company say after adding the name, we are not allowed to read any name. Okay, they have planned. But how my other developer, and that's one thing guys, user never use the code directly. User, when you run the code, they will, if you're asking some input, they can do. If you're printing something, they can see. Final user can only give the input what you're asking and only see what you print. But this code is been accessed by you or multiple developers. Okay, so in this context, right, maybe my management team say deleting name is not right, we don't allow, but somebody buys and delete it. So as a good developer practice, don't access any of your attribute directly. So if management want to give this capability to you, so normally the one who create this class, they can create a function and say delete name is a kind of function they can create for us, where we pass our address, which address we have the name, and we say del in this address whatever name we have I want to remove. That's all. Now this is me created, we can get the name, but if we want to, this is the name we have, but if you want to delete the name, so we have a delete function. Because management allowed to delete the name, so guys here now name is not available, or we can check also name is not available. So their plan we can write over here. So finally, the conclusion of this point is classes is a way to organize your data. Class is a way to tell what operation you can do on the data. For here, if you see this line, we have done the create operation. We want to create a data, not object, data we are creating here or storing here. Here we are reading the data. Here we are modifying, updating the data. Here we are deleting, or no, this one. Here, these are the updates. We are deleting the data. And this is planned by management, what operation and we can do and which data we can do. So technically this is called CRUD, create, read, update, delete. It's called CRUD operations. So normally guys, in the data, we normally do the CRUD operations. Okay, but in the CRUD operation depend upon your management plan and thinking what CRUD operation they want to perform and which data they want to perform. Okay, accordingly you can write. If you don't want, you don't write it. Okay, so that is a one point to be added here. So I think you got the clarity. And normally it is also a very small thing, but it's very important. Like if you give a method name, always give a method a proper name. That makes sense. Update name, update mobile number, and name is mostly very bigger. Okay, like search by name, search by email is bigger. So it is a good practice. First name start with small case, and second character start with capital. Okay, this way of naming is called camel case. Camel case. This is small, then all the remaining word would be capital. Obviously, space doesn't work in the function name or the variable name. So this is the camel case we can use. Is a good practice to have. And second thing, guys, it is also good practice in the classes. The first name start with capital. It's not compulsory, but good practice. It's standard practice in the classes. We always give first name capital. So guys, finally, according to our plan, one class has been created. This is the entire plan. We don't have any data, just a plan. What data we can take and what operation we can perform on this data. Now, from this class, we can create a object, and this object will pass the memory address to one function, and this function is always a constructor. Now constructor, what you want to do, there will be a choice. Let's say I want to do these things to pass my data. So here my name will be Jack. Mobile number will be something like this. A remark may be good. So that's what, guys, we have done. So this has been created. We also printed just to confirmation, or we can add some conditions also here. Okay, and finally Jack is one object name. Mostly, guys, the practice is normally we always create object name with the name. Or what do you think, guys? What your unique thing would be? Your object name is like a variable name, and you want to give variable name a unique. So object name will be your car model, your product name, your customer ID, right? Something like this. Now in this object, I want to get the name. I can get the name. All the things you can do it. Okay. So finally, don't use the variables directly to update and change. I just show you initially just to explain the concept. Otherwise, this is the right way to do it. And one more benefit of this, right? Even though there's one advanced topic, guys, I take in this training. It's called decorators. This is called annotations. So there's a lot of things, guys. Obviously, in this training, we're not going to discuss microservices or the REST APIs. When you guys convert this code into a REST API, that's what the mobile app is using or web app. So today's everything in the real world has been accessed by web apps and mobile app, and they normally work on a concept called APIs or REST APIs. Okay, initially guys, long back, it is very harder to create the APIs or REST API, lots of code we have to do. But now, because of concept called annotations and the uh, decorators in the Python, the same thing. Normally in Java we use the word annotation, in the Python it's called decorations, right? We can very easily convert this code into APIs, REST APIs, so that anybody, other programs or anybody who know about microservices also, if you know, right, we can access there very easily. Obviously in this training I'm not going to discuss anything about microservices. It's different, advanced training, altogether different training, right? And even though I'm not going to discuss about REST APIs also, there's a different training. But yeah, anybody who want to learn everything about REST API, that is normally covered in the web development courses. Okay, so right now guys, we are going to launch one full stack full stack development course on the web technologies. Okay, development course. Okay, with one of the very powerful product that is we use almost every company, is called MERN. Okay, a unique thing about this, because according to my knowledge, the full stack web development is used by almost all the company, and this is the one of the area that has a huge demand in the jobs also. But a lot of guys only learn the full stack development or web development only, but it is not the complete knowledge. Okay, if you don't add this knowledge with DevOps, you won't be complete full stack developers. It is required. And as such, we don't have any as such course available in the market, anywhere in the globally also, where full stack web development MERN with the DevOps integration has been trained on. So right now guys, we initially launched this program under a company called Linux World, where entire development of web development will run with DevOps integrations like Docker, Kubernetes, and OpenShift kind of tools we integrate and create a very powerful products, and a lot of real use cases we'll solve. I'm saying this point to you and only to tell you, anybody who are interested to also learn how to APIs, what is API, how to create our REST APIs, all the things also will be completely delivered in this training. Obviously, this is not a part of Python. I'm just giving you extra knowledge. This week, I think after 2 days on Tuesday, we are coming up this program. Anybody who wanted to join, it's not free program. It's and come under my Linux World. Obviously, Python is free. That's what we have told to you, and everything in the Python we are at the core internal level. We are giving free to you. But anybody who want to join, they can join this program. Very uniquely created program. It's not only the web development. Okay, web development without DevOps is the actual demand in the real working industry, and there is the only exclusive course we have constructed and created for this purpose, right? But otherwise, let's come back to our topic. Anybody want to join? I will ask my team. They will share the link to you for joining. But yeah, come back to this topic. So this is what the CRUD operation is. So mostly in the classes we will perform this operation. Now after this knowledge, okay, there's lots of things we can do. Okay, yeah, come back to this point. So you know why we create the method, because after having the method, we can convert this method with REST APIs. There's security things we can add this method very quickly secure. So say I say, for example, some of my user login, they won't able to update the things. Some of the account login, they won't up to date the things. Some of my admin user, they can do all the operations. So after you have these method created, then converting and adding extra securities, or converting in such a way that this data or this method output we can connect with some other mobile app, web apps, would be so simple. But this planning is important. Then only further things we can do as per your tool and the technologies also. Okay, that is also one of the reasons why having method and having again proper planning what you want to do further is very required. But as you progress in learning the technologies and more tools and technology you start learning, right, you will automatically get the clarity. But as a Python perspective, this is the syntax, what I'm trying to tell you, and as a class perspective, this is what actually you have to do in the class. Now in the classes, tons more thing we can do. We have a different access modifier, private modifiers, we have inheritance, multiple different inheritance, encapsulation, all the things we have. So guys, I think this class has already been very long. Okay, tons of data I have been through right now. So let's do one thing. Even though, let me tell you one small thing very quickly. Okay, whenever you create an object, this function automatically runs your constructor. Okay, but when you delete the object, check this object deleted. Interesting thing is, whenever you delete the object, okay, your Python program or your normal programming language know your object deleted. When they create, they know. When they delete, they also know. So when they create, they know, and that is the reason they automatically run this function. Similarly, when you delete the object, that time also they know, internally they use one special function that is called, function name is called _del. Okay, this function. So let me show you one more time. This function we can check from here. So there is one function. So if you run the dir function on jack, okay, so there is one del function they run, right? Del, I think this is the function, or they change the name. Yeah. So what is use of this? So in my next class, I have one interesting example. When we delete the object, so they will run the function. By the help of this function, we can construct something, we can destruct something. Okay, there's some plan also. So these are some few topics, smaller and some more advanced concept in the classes. How to inheritance, subclasses, child classes, how to use the super classes, all the things. I need one more class, like 2 or 3 hours to complete this topic, but at least I tried till here. Plan your own form, own template, and plan your own method and do it. And also practice, guys, a lot of concept of the functions also. Okay, so that's all, guys. Today I would like to conclude till here. Okay, today, guys, we intentionally changed the time. So so one more, guys. So today I want to conclude till here in this topic. Next weekend, so I think, guys, for last 4 classes, guys, can you hold for a second, please? Hold for a second. So guys, from last 4 classes, we have done lots of tons of things in the Python. Next week I have my own different plan of other program. Okay, so next class of Python, we have a lot of interesting topic left, I know. So next plan of Python, guys, will update in next in your respective group in this week only. So what will be next schedule for the Python? It might not be at 2 p.m. on Saturday, Sunday, but whatever it would be, we will update you guys in this week. Otherwise, practice till here, and more next class I will take the further point on the classes. So today I want to conclude this topic till here, and there's no break. I will actually conclude the class. See you in the next class. I'm also not taking any query, because I feel you guys have been joined our community already, or you've been the part of #student community. A lot of technical content is there. Any doubt till in this class, you can put the comment there. Okay, my technical volunteers will help you with the solutions, right? So see you guys in the next class with some more detailed and very unique concept of programming language. But after having this knowledge, apply this concept also in your respective other programming language also. Okay, again, syntax is not important, writing the code is not important. Having this flow and right knowledge, right approach, where to use and where not to use, is very critical to know. Otherwise, you won't be a great developer in your career. Okay, that's all, guys. Bye, take care, and see you. Good day, good night.